the new star. There's some new stars being made, not just Harriet Hagman, not the old folks, the old timers, the people who've been around for a long time, like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. I mean, remember when they were young and they were the new crowd. Well, no, they are getting broomed aside. There's a new sheriff in town from my former home state of Kentucky, James Comer. Comer has a curious problem. Same one as we saw Hagman have, it seems. Ladies and gentlemen, I present a father and son walking down a flight of stairs on Air Force One because that's a crime. But here we go. This is Comer on Fox and Friends. Look at the title of this one. Where are the fact checkers? Comer demands Biden admit Chinese payouts. Because Biden said that's a lie. And so they're like, no, it isn't. It's got to be. Like, motherfucker, you've got access to all the paperwork. If there's a crime, find it. All right, but let's see what his angle is.
House Oversight Committee giving President Biden until Monday to admit that
Biden's dozen deals. That's a bit much, especially when he does realize that Biden's shit. This is a mess. So Biden's plural, and they can't put an apostrophe after the N to make it Biden's dozen deals because that would be slanderous. So they have to add Biden's. They have to add an S on the end of it so that because there's multiple Bidens that have deals, like Biden has a book deal, and so they have to make a plural. Shit, the Bidens is right. Sure. Keep at it.
members of his family received more than $1 million cut from a Chinese wire sent to
I think technically less than, but go ahead.
Hunter Biden's business associate.
Or that guy had other businesses and he used money from the wire to pay it.
Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer joins us now. Congressman, thanks for getting up early with us this morning. You know, you have the bank records showing these payments.
It's like an hour time difference. Calm down.
Happened.
No, it depends on what part of fucking Kentucky he's in.
But President
he might be in the same time zone.
Biden has repeatedly denied this entire story. Here's actually Biden denying it last week. Listen to this.
Any reaction to House GOP's new memo about your family dealing?
Family dealing.
Dealing that Hunter Biden's business associate sent over $1 million to 3 of your family members. Any reaction to that report?
That's not true.
Your reaction?
That was pretty easy, pretty direct. You know, it's pretty. Your response, sir. Or would you just like us to actually put egg on your face?
Really, him? I mean, this is pretty rich that he's still denying it to the American public.
How's it rich? How's it? Yeah, you know what? You know, I take it back. She's right. It is. This is the gall of Biden. Watch this. I'm about to eat crow. Comer, even though they put him in this tiny little window, is going to take. He's going to hold up a bunch of pieces of paper. See this? This is a cash check. Joe Biden's face on it. See this? This is a photograph of Joe Biden at the teller, telling them a story about corn pop while he endorses a check that's in Chinese. Doesn't even know what it means, but here comes the evidence. I don't even know why I was questioning it.
It's rich that the president just stood there and lied to the American people. It's also rich that the mainstream media hasn't called him out on it. I mean, where are the fact checkers? They've gone for years now saying that this is Russian disinformation, that the Bidens were involved in influence peddling. Then when the laptop surfaced, obviously they said that wasn't real, that had been compromised. Well, now.
Yes, and that's true. I stand by it.
I have subpoenaed bank records to prove that the family took over $1 million from a Chinese Communist Party-backed energy company for no apparent reason. And he's still denying it. He's still lying about it.
You have the records. What's the question?
So yes, we expect an apology.
Oh, by the way, hold on. They put this up there. So Hunter got 610. James Biden got 360. Hallie Biden got 25. An unknown Biden got $70,000. Clearly one of the kids. He owed back child support, and that's where that went. And Gillar got this, and John Rob Walker. Why did they get less? Why do they have to divide it up? Didn't they walk out of China with $1.5 billion? Nobody does that. It's the easiest thing, right?
And he's still denying it. He's still lying about it. So yes, we expect an apology from Joe Biden.
Yeah. Don't hold your
We're
breath.
disappointed but not shocked that the mainstream media has turned a blind eye to this. But my message,
Again, what's the deal? What did they get for it? If you're going to say influence peddling, you can't just bring up cash transfers. You have to figure out what the fuck he's doing to benefit China. Because I got news for you. He's fucking them harder than any president in history. The amount, I was even shocked at how direct he was about Taiwan. So where's the give?
to the White House is this isn't going away. There are other bank records. There are other potential business, quote unquote, deals that your family has made with China and other adversarial countries around the world. We're going to get the truth out.
Great. Knock yourself the fuck out. Tell you what, we're going to kick back. We're going to catch a movie, go get a bite to eat, maybe go see some concerts. Some of us are going to try skiing, maybe a little water skiing, a little jet skiing this summer, go, cave diving. Some folks are going to try spicier food for the first time. And you just let us know when you find a smoking gun with no dead body.
And there's going to come a point to where eventually the mainstream media is not going to be able to let him stand up there and lie to the American people about the fact that his family's taken millions and millions of dollars from our adversary.
Yeah, you said.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to explain why Joe Biden, and this is, I think, the more extraordinary thing. Now, let me be abundantly clear about this. If we give Comer and the rest of these idiots, we literally go, yes, Hunter Biden, Joe set these meetings up so his son could get money, and he and his business partners and Biden was running this criminal enterprise, and they were just getting all this money out of China. It was amazing, like hand over fucking fist. They left the country with $1.5 billion. And then when he got into office, he doubled down on Trump's sanctions, added more, passed the CHIPS Act, sending Chinese technological development back a fucking decade, formed the AUKUS agreement, reignited the Quad with India being a partner, and basically focused our military on the South China Seas, to the point where Japan is going to join the AUKUS agreement, and Australia just bought 5 nuclear-powered submarines so that they can do laps around the South China Seas and make sure that their shipments and the rest of the allied countries in the Quad can have their shipments protected and protect Taiwan. What if Biden got $1.5 billion from China and they had all these deals, and then he came in and did this? He rolled those motherfuckers. Honest to God, if they believe these details about a Republican, they would go, oh my fucking God, this guy showed the Chinese, man. They gave him all this money, thought they could bribe him, and then he turned right around and fucked him in the ear. That's what they would be saying. The question has to be, of Comer and any of these people, and I don't know why. Greta Van Susteren actually came the closest I've seen to anybody getting anywhere near this. But if you line up all the things that Biden has been doing in terms of the Chinese, and you think he took this money, then you have to admit that he fucked them into a cocked hat, and it was masterful. Right before the Chinese economy started to tank, the Biden family scooped up a bunch of cash from the place and then stiff-armed them out the door. Why will no one ask that? Why? I mean, I do it on Twitter all the fucking time. At some point, like and subscribe, because I got to get a bigger audience here so that I can call the Comers of the world and try to get them on as guests. That's the only way it's going to happen. Just, yeah, the real art of the deal, exactly. This is fucking, if Biden took money from the Chinese and did what he did once he got in office, that's not even art of the deal. That's Sun Tzu's The Art of War. That's amazing.
You have around 11 more batches to come out at some point. To your point, he's going to have to admit something when the evidence just continues to pile in front of him.
Or it ain't evidence, and you're a big dum-dum.
When will you release the next batch of information on these files?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, not information, my bad. Evidence, obviously, because just releasing people's finances and trying to make them look bad through a drip is very Tucker Carlson. So obviously, it's not information. It's a batch of evidence. Evidence of...
Well, I'm very hopeful that we'll be getting some more bank records in within the next week.
Are you? You do realize we've seen his taxes for fucking ever, right?
I mean, this is a step-by-step process.
Uh-huh. Yes, we know, and you're tripping all over yourself.
I've been very transparent with the American people.
Yes, you're very transparent, and we can see right through you. This is pathetic and political and silly. And again, until someone on this fucking committee answers my question, I'm gonna have to fly to DC. That's all there is to it. I gotta do a man on the street. I gotta find these fuckers and just walk up to them with a mic and a shoulder cam. Because that's the one stunning question in this. I'm gonna start like a I don't know if I can just tweet certain people in the news that end up having these motherfuckers on or something. And I've done it a few times, but it's got to be, I got to be almost aggravating about it, I think. You know what I mean? I've got to be like, it's one of those things. I apologize if you follow me on Twitter, because I've decided right now that I'm just going to have to hammer certain points to the point of, like, most of you have notifications turned off, so don't worry about it. But I'll try to hashtag it specifically so it can stay over in a compartment by itself or something. But motherfucker.
About what the purpose of this investigation is. The purpose is to try to determine whether or not this White House is compromised because of the millions and millions of dollars his family's taken from adversaries around the world. We knew this.
Well, it's interesting. Again, you're going to need to find the crime first. And I don't mean the financial misdealings. You're making the case that financial misdealings, or if they're misdealings at all, you're making the case that money changed hands in exchange for a quid pro quo. But the quo never happened. Meanwhile, Trump is fucking kissing Putin's taint every time he turns around. The Alpha Bank server is pinging in Trump Tower. He's got this meeting to knock down the Magnitsky Act in his building with Jared having him on fucking speakerphone through the whole goddamn meeting because he doesn't trust Don Jr. to do it because he's stupid. But that's nothing. You're not looking at it's like I need to. They're always trying to get his taxes, and they're always after this is a witch hunt, hoaxy witch hunt. Meanwhile, he's up there defending Vladimir Putin. $15 million into a Chinese bank account, $17 million into a Chinese bank account that Trump draws $15 million out of as quick as it goes in. And then he's talking about how Xi Jinping is handling the pandemic like a professional, and he believes he knows what he's doing. And that's nothing. Because that would be the primary crime. That would be a sign that a world leader is acquiescing to the desires of another world leader because of compromise or debt.
Based on whistleblowers, we knew this based on text messages and emails.
No, you don't.
Now we know this based on bank records. So we got our first set of bank records. Now that led to the second set of bank records that I hope to be getting in hand within the next few days. That second set will lead to the third set. And in the
Yes, and that third set will lead to fuck all again.
meantime, we were able to prove without a shadow of the doubt to the Treasury cabinet that, look, we need those bank violations because obviously this family has taken over $1 million from a Chinese communist-backed energy company for no apparent reason. So we need those.
What? No. First of all, if you're talking about CFC or whatever, that was they were trying to build a business in the United States. Their own, I mean, does he think that there aren't Chinese subsidiaries of companies in the United States in general? That they don't exist? That people don't start those things? And by the way, I think it's actually a better situation for the Bidens if it was just cash and they were like, yeah, fuck that deal. And we got $1 million because you were wasting our fucking time.
Bank violation. So we've gotten one set of bank records. We've gotten all the bank violations, and it looks like there are a lot more than 100.
Bank violations. Yes, Biden fucked a Chinese bank.
150, which had been previously reported. And we're going to continue to follow the money and try to get the American people the truth they deserve about this family occupying the White House.
Congressman, what about that one account that's just titled Biden? Who could that be?
It could be anybody. And I've been involved in banking.
Anybody named Biden, one would think.
For most of my life, and I've seen, a lot of bank wires. Bank wires are like checks. You put on there the name, the address, the date, the dollar amount, and then there's a memo at the bottom, just like a regular check. And all the bank wires that this Robinson Walker account had done over a 10-plus year period would always have the memo listed, except on the ones they sent to the Bidens, because that would be an obvious first step into trying to determine what exactly the Bidens did to get over $1 million.
Is there a ghost at my door? Hold on one second. What are you doing? Chip, what are you doing? I'm doing a show. I'm almost done. Good grief. I threw all those Post-it notes on the floor the other day because we were making or this morning or yesterday. When was it? Fuck. Doing jokes about Trump's plan, and now Chip likes to come in and play with them because they stick to his paws, and then he runs around like a maniac.
From this company that
I have to clean them up.
Just received a wire less than 24 hours earlier from China. Not only did
so let me guess. Here's an idea. I'm just gonna float this. That guy, whoever the fuck he is, owes a bunch of people a bunch of money for services rendered, other work, promises he made, investments, money they gave him that he was supposed to invest in other shit that didn't come out, and he wants to make sure that they get a little bit back so that they trust him again on bigger deals. And he didn't have another source to get any money from, so he reached out to some dude who was honeypotting him in China to some degree to get, kick him some cash so that he could keep them on the line. And he sent them the money, and it didn't work. How about that? There is as much evidence of what I just said in those records as what he just said.
This one wire not list the memo, it also just listed the last name, Biden, just like they were trying to hide it. They were obviously trying to hide something as to what the purpose of the wire was. And on this particular wire, not only were they trying to hide the purpose of the wire, they were trying to hide the first name of the wire. So we're trying to figure out what account that went to. We're trying to figure out which Biden that was. But as
that lake house has some pretty nice fucking shutters. I'm just saying.
As I've said for the past week now, at the end of the day, I'm pretty confident that all these shady business schemes from the Biden family with our adversaries around the world, you're going to see between
our adversaries around the world, by the way, because it doesn't work with the Chinese thing. That's why he has to keep saying that. You notice how he's moving the goalpost away from China in this particular situation. He wants to include it, but he can't figure out why it would benefit China in any way. So what he's trying to include in this is Ukraine somehow. Is that somehow the only reason the U.S. is backing Ukraine against Russia is because of Joe Biden's fucking gambling debts.
6 and 7 Biden family members who are actively participating in this and who are actively receiving money from our adversaries.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Meantime, we are learning that.
That is a lot. I mean, it's not $2 billion to Jared Kushner, but it's a lot of...
Former President Trump has not been notified about whether the Manhattan DA plans to bring charges, and that DA Alvin Bragg could ultimately decide not to indict the former president. What do you think, Congressman? Do you think that latter scenario where he doesn't indict Donald Trump is likely at this point?
I mean, this is a local DA trying to prosecute a presidential candidate.
No, this started before he had declared. It's a guy declaring his presidency to help protect himself from a local DA going after him. That also works in this story.
Based on federal election law. He's 2 levels of government below the appropriate level that would even have the potential to look at this case.
Trump's a private citizen. He lived in New York when he committed the crime.
So it's not constitutional what the DA, Mr. Bragg, is trying to do.
Explain how. You're the masterful student of the Constitution. Tell us how it's unconstitutional. What it violates his 7.5 amendment against being made to look like an asshole in front of his wife.
I believe this is a political stunt.
Yeah, your beliefs don't matter.
It's very disappointing because
in a court of law, so I would stick to the facts, sir.
Because in New York, you have one of the highest crime rates in America. His job is to prosecute the bad.
Yeah, you have one of the highest crime rates in America because you have one of the highest populations. Per capita, not so much. Apparently, it's Bakersfield.
Bad guys. But he's spending all this time in self-promotion, trying to do what I consider a political stunt to further his political career.
Well, I mean, obviously, you could save a lot of time if you just let it happen and not, expect him to because I would say, look, Jim Jordan and you have asked him to come down and testify before Congress. Rand Paul wants it as well. But if you're worried that he is wasting time not pursuing violent crime in New York, then clearly you calling him down there to testify is even more time that he wouldn't be. So I guess those murders while he's testifying would be on you?
At the expense of the residents in Manhattan who are suffering from crime. Remember, we flipped the House of Representatives in November because we overperformed in the state of New York. One reason
because of gerrymandering.
Republicans won in blue state New York is because the voters were fed up with the Democrats' soft on crime policy. And this...
Yeah, but not in New York. New York State as a body, different than New York City. This might shock you, but Illinois, most of it isn't like Chicago. I know, crazy, right?
DA is the perfect example of a prosecutor whose priorities are all wrong.
I agree. He should have gone after Trump way earlier.
Do you think this was a last-ditch effort by his office? Because it's obvious to the people of New York, he's not charging.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Trump has plenty of ditches ahead of him. This is by no means the last ditch in Trump's life.
Criminals the way they should be charged, and he saw what happened in New York in November.
Yeah, I mean, I think reality's setting in. From everything that we've read, this DA is very politically ambitious, and I have nothing against the people who are politically ambitious. But at the end of the day,
if you're politically ambitious, why would you take on a case you knew you would lose or that would be bad for you ultimately? If you think he's doing it for populist reasons, then maybe your guy is unpopular.
You're doing your job.
Comer's from Kentucky.
Instead of prosecuting the criminals in a high crime rate, and you're trying to focus on something that you clearly have no jurisdiction, then I think that he's starting to feel the heat from the voters. I don't think if
he's feeling the heat, if the voters expect him to prosecute crimes and he's dragging his feet, fuck it, representative government. What am I talking about?
To handle himself if he did show up for congressional inquiry, because this is
Inquiry.
certainly something that's in Congress's purview. We write federal election laws in Congress, not the Manhattan DA. So,
Right, but he's got state laws as well. Each state has their own laws about elections and how they can be carried out, and there are variants in what's legal from a campaign finance or election level, because you have to get on the ballot in every state, and they do have varying standards. That's why it's a state felony he's going after.
I do believe he's having a second thought on this, and obviously we'll see what he decides to do in the end.
Yes, all true. Thank you for wasting our time. Congressman James Comer, who he can't understand why his lack of evidence is not making people angry at Joe Biden.